I think now I want to take the chance to ask you a question because I've been very positive about this topic. And you know, we discussed before, years ago when we started talking, we discussed about AI at some point.
Yeah.
And you were telling me, Roberto, how do you see AI? And I was thinking like, I don't know. I mean, there's so much hype about it. I really don't see this thing working in the enterprise at the moment.
You were optimistic, but critical.
Yeah, very critical, I would say. Yeah. Now, I'm like, it's very encouraging to see how things are changing, and I see an evolution now. And for me, agentic AI, it's something that I really want to go into. I think it's something that will trigger so many interesting use cases and things in companies that are just going to be game changers. But as we evolve with that, what is your opinion? Where do you see it? Because I think your opinion might have changed also in the past 3 years.
Of course, I'm getting older and getting more gray hair, so indeed also my opinion is an evolution. But I'm happy you're asking that. Look, I think what we are seeing, it's revolutionary. I think it's comparable to what we went through. I mean, we're almost in the same age category with the internet hype in the early 2000s and 90s. With agentic AI or AI itself, it's you know, we are making giant steps, and especially in our industry. I think for integration, it will only mean more demand for connected systems, because all these agents, they have something in common. These AI applications, agents, they're all hungry or thirsty for data. And of course, if you want to have convincing and meaningful results, valuable results for the business, you have to provide them with good data, right? Data that you can trust from many different angles. And that means also that integration, whether it's transactional integration or data integration, will only get more demand. And for us as integration ambassadors, integration experts, we have, of course, to prepare for that. And I think we are doing a great job. If you ask me, for instance, from Rojo point of view, we are already delivering many adapters for it. I mean, we have the Snowflake adapter. There is also an LLM adapter coming soon within the SAP integration suite. And all of those, we play a role in this revolution of the agentic AI. And I'm very excited as well, because at some point I believe there will be this kind of internet of AI agents. And as we went through that phase with the internet, there must be a standardization. And that's a topic which I'm planning, by the way, to write, well, not a book yet, but something about it. If you want to collaborate, we should do that, because it's about these standardizations that the agents need also to come up with in order to have this multi-agent coordination, right? So Roberto, how is your view on that? Because I understand, I have seen some nice podcasts or videos out there where GDE was also sharing in some events some first results around AI in combination with EDA. Can you tell us more about that, and how does it translate to real added value to the business, and does it touch SAP, or is it something else?
Well, in general, I think agentic is in the context of what we're developing. You can think that in a way that we think agentic should be tied to integration, and maybe just because I love integration, but I mean the use cases that it enables is just amazing. Not only on the perspective of reacting to things in the business, right? From the perspective of cost saving, Although we need to be very responsible. I think we were discussing this some time ago. We need to be very responsible as to what we think is cost saving, right? I don't really enjoy the terms of saving hours, for example. I think that marketing part, I really don't enjoy it. The reason why is, well, I think as someone told me in a conversation just a couple of days ago, while I was in a conference, we are also responsible to bring the right message. And these kinds of things that we will develop, they will impact not only processes, but they will also impact people. And but putting that aside, let's say if we focus on the technology side of things, man, the use cases. We developed one that for me was simple thing in JD. Where is my order, right? So if you think about that question, what is associated with answering it? And if you're kind of in a customer service agent role, what do you need to know in order to solve that question? There's so many things that can go wrong with an order, right? So if a process, let's say, is not connecting from the e-commerce website to our ERP, like SAP, then we have a problem. What happens when we do the fulfillment part? What happens if the stock is not there? What happens if, I don't know, the shipment goes wrong? What happens if the delivery goes wrong? So many different events that you can see that are fully interconnected. And once you have agents running, let's say, or let's say executing certain parts of those business processes, and interconnecting with each other, sending information to each other or reacting to those events, then it's much easier for a customer service agent, instead of going to 5 different systems and taking, I don't know, 1 hour to 3 hours to solve something like that. It would be really cool just to say, okay, well, agent, can you tell me what's wrong with my order? And then this agent can communicate to all of the rest that are
give you the answer.
That are specific for certain things, and they will give you the answer in seconds.
Yeah.
Or
maybe
minutes.
solve it, because that's what we want, right?
Of course. And then, I mean, you're giving customer service, it's going to be much better. But also cost-wise, internally, you're gonna get so much better results. So, and I know this is gonna be something big, for example, for cost centers or customer service processes that are subcontracted, because you can optimize the cost. So if you were hiring, I don't know, 100 people for customer service externally, let's say, how many of those do you actually need once all of these processes are running? That's where I also discussed about the responsibility that we have to give the right message, right?
Roberto, sorry to interrupt you, because it's a very interesting topic, but there is a burning question. Does it mean that if you go through that journey, that path of agentic AI, and you already mentioned a very concrete use case, I mean, does it mean that you have to adapt or change completely your way of, and you know, for your data strategy, you know, your data quality, your data synchronization, or can you transition into it?
So I think, Roberto, we need to transition, right? So it's not about having a data strategy fully ready. I think most companies don't have a data strategy fully ready. And if you wait for that data strategy to be there, then it's going to take you years. By the time you do that, I mean, the opportunities are gone, right? So we need to transition into that. And as we start moving into developing new use cases, those use cases should include the data strategy, so that we make sure that anything that we do, any information we feed into the LLM, any information we feed into these agents, is the information that should be there, and not just any information. And in any case, if you don't have the data strategy, what I've been thinking is, well, you have the system of record. And at the moment, that's what you trust. So if you're trusting your system of record to have the right data, then connect to the system of record to get the data that is going to feed the agents, right? I think for me, that's the simplest way to go. So it doesn't really matter at the moment if you have a data strategy or not to start. You don't need to wait for this to be perfect.
It's about starting.
It's about starting, test it out, try it out. I think you're gonna get surprised about the results. And once you get there, then I think the organization will just gather around it, and we'll continue to pursue these opportunities.
I couldn't agree more with you, Roberto. That's what I said at the beginning, right? We speak the same language. So, and yeah, this is great. Roberto, moving about a totally different topic, but I think something that also gets us closer, and we share the same values. I understand and know that you started a few years ago something unique, something very special, but it's also very close to technology. So what does Guatemala and indigenous community have to do with integration?
Well, a lot of people would say nothing. A lot of people would say nothing. And well, this is something that started years ago. And I think when we first met, about 6-7 years ago that we met, this was, I think I told you about it. It was, I told you about it. I had an idea. I saw the need in communities in Guatemala to actually help them get jobs. And we have a big problem in LATAM, and it's migration, right? So family separation, because there are no opportunities. So I said, well, if we have that problem, we're not gonna solve it. I mean, Roberto cannot solve it, right? But we can help. And the way that we do that is acknowledging that the problem is there, and then trying to find a way to help people get better and get better opportunities. And maybe we will not help, let's say, older people, but we will help their children, and we will help the young generation. And the young generation is so much into IT. It's incredible. It's not about the big cities, right, anymore. You can find exceptional talent.
There's a lot
in
of talent,
places
right?
where you didn't expect. And that's exactly what we've seen now. Is we have this initiative where we have enabled and trained people in integration practices, because that's what we do. And it's been an amazing journey. We found people in so many regions of Guatemala that are exceptional at doing this job from home, either by connecting through the internet with a traditional connection, or by using something like Starlink, which has been enabling us for doing these kinds of things. And having these people work from their communities to places like the US or Canada or I don't know, Europe, Asia, it's been such an amazing experience. And that's what we continue to do. So we continue to evolve. We continue to bring more opportunities to people in Guatemala through Guatemaltek, right? Which is the social initiative, Guatemaltek. That's how it was born. I think at some point we tried to say, okay, well, I think we need to change the name, because people don't really relate Guatemala with technology, right? It's more close to call centers and other types of things. But what we've done is we brought that talent, outside. People now understand that we have really, really great talent. Young people, I mean, we're talking about the really young people here that are investing the little money that they might have in an education. And I think we're responsible to bring them an opportunity. And it's what we're doing now. I mean, people are starting to see, to recognize the quality of these resources, and that allows us to continue to expand. We've now reached many different regions in Guatemala. As we call them, departments in Guatemala, we have 22. We've now reached more than 1/3 of them. And we have young people working from those places. As we will continue. We just gave out now 30 more full scholarships. And we will continue to work on that, because we really believe that we have something, and the world is also looking at it, and they are recognizing that there are opportunities for them. I know you guys are also doing something interesting, not in LATAM, or maybe a little bit in LATAM, but I know you're also reaching many parts of the world. So would you like to share some of that?
We are doing a lot of CSR work for communities in LATAM a little bit, but around the world. But before that, I want to thank you for sharing your story about Guatemaltek, because it's truly inspiring and something that comes very close to my heart. And at Rojo, also giving back to society is in our DNA, and something that we started already from the beginnings of the company. because we feel like, you know, we also have a duty to give back to society. So we are working with different NGOs in Africa, where we're helping them in kind, but also with technology. So we have built a complete child registration system for their rescue missions that they have. In India, we are working with responsible charity, also helping and giving opportunity, education opportunity to many kids and children which will never get that opportunity if we didn't support them. So for us, it's very important to provide this support, because coming from Latin America, we know that education is not necessarily a right, but rather a privilege. So I think we are in an incredible journey, and we will continue to do so. So Roberto, with this, of course, I want to enjoy the sunny Barcelona. I want to thank you, really thank you for your feedback, all these stories, and wish you all of the best with JDE, of course, in this digital transformation that you're going through, and Guatemaltek, of course. And of course, this will not be the last one, I hope.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. I think the topics are just so interesting that, as we have seen before, we can go for hours. So having these conversations they don't stop. They just continue as topics will continue to come in. I think we'll have much more to discuss. So very happy to be here, and very happy to be back in the next one.
Yeah, and next time, who knows where. And we welcome, of course, the comments and feedback from the people watching this video. We hope that you enjoy it and also found it interesting to be in conversation with Roberto Acevedo. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberto.